So much of the work that you do while you're alive on The Sopranos is extraordinary. But that murder scene, I think, is so intense because it's such a bright day. It's sunny. It's the middle of the afternoon. The brutality of it is so much more potent, I think, because of those things. Because he's just doing business. Yeah, Silvio. He has to get rid of you. And your sort of frantic scramble to try to, get out the other side of the car door and all of that. What was it like for you shooting that? I know that you knew by that point that it was your...
Oh, yeah. I mean, we shot it 2 ways. Yeah. We shot it 2 ways over the confidentiality on set. So, and when David told me that we were doing this, he said, you'll know when it airs. So I didn't know. I mean, I knew because I had taken another job and I got in trouble that it got out into the public. But we shot it 2 ways. The actual scene where I'm scurrying out into the woods, I mean, I was already I knew I was out of there for a while. So Stevie was mortified that he had to do all of that stuff. Pull me out by my hair, call me the C word, all of that. I'm like, Stevie, I got a dinner to be at. We're going to shoot
Go ahead, let's do it.
We're going to be fine. Because for me, my big scene was when I confessed to him.
Yes.
That was it. When I had that scene with him, that was...
That you were an FBI informant, that you had turned on him.
All of it. The whole season leading up to that final moment had been so intense for me, the whole series, that by the time I got into the woods with Stevie, I was like, let's just have a good time.
Interesting. That's fascinating.
And you don't see me that much.
No, I know. I realized that. It felt a lot longer when I saw it years ago. And when I went back and watched it, I was like, it's pretty quick.
Yeah, and we shot it 2 ways. So you see me imagining getting out.
Yes.
But that was really an alternate ending so that the crew wouldn't know what happened because there was a rat on set.
Who was telling people what was going on. Not an actual rat.
Yeah, they were getting paid tons of money to leak the show.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you said something when we first started talking about how you feel like that was cutting edge as a young actress and the kind of storytelling, and that now you feel like you're on a different kind of cutting edge. What do you mean by that?
Oh, my God. I don't have a connection to Hollywood anymore. I don't feel connected to it, to the way they do their business, I feel like the corporatism, I guess, that is just infiltrated absolutely every walk of life has sort of just taken the beauty and the joy out of everything, kind of. And I feel like what's happening in the world right now is so much more important than, acting like somebody else. I understand that it's a beautiful art form and that we need it and that it moves people. I think music too. I sort of feel like the American dream's on hold, and I feel like the arts are on hold. I feel like everything's been on hold for a long time. When we shot Sopranos, 9/11 was going on, and we actually took the Twin Towers out. We re-edited that show. We had it in the beginning when they existed, and then when they didn't exist, we had them out. I always joke around when I look at that tower downtown. I go, oh, look, it's the anti-freedom tower. Because that was the day everything changed, sort of. And, the Patriot Act, there's just so much stuff happening and now we're here. In the last 3 or 4 years, once you see the truth about everything, it's hard to unsee it. So to think about, just having this fun Hollywood life, while they're plastering all these Puff Daddy parties and everything all over the news. And I'm like, no, I wasn't one of those parties. And I'm like, I can't believe I know there's a lot of huge implications behind all that craziness. But back then, we were just having a good time. Like, no one was really fully aware of look, corruption's been going on since the dawn of time. I get it, and it'll always be there. But I think with the dawn of the technological, there's like so much technology out there. A lot can be suppressed, but a lot is also going to be leaked. And once you see those leaks, you're just like, wow, this is a whole new terrain. And a lot of people are unaware of it all.
So is there anybody out there that you look at that who you think can break through that and can make things sort of, it's interesting, you talk about how things are sort of stale and on pause and frozen. Is there anyone you think politically or in any walk of life, I guess, that can change that? Or what do you think ultimately might change that?
I mean, I think that there's a lot of underground kind of networks of communities coming together now. We have a rally in, it's not we, but these people that I immensely respect are having sort of a peace rally in D.C. on Sunday, on September 29th. It's called Rescue the Republic. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those speakers have been the voices for the last 4 years, I think, coming out of the pandemic and trying to understand what was happening in the world. Everybody is sort of, these are the voices, I think, like the old, back in, I'm an old liberal. So for me, it's like all of the old Democrat voices to me were the voices of, the intellect of our cultural art world, all of this. It's moved over to this sort of, we have no political party now. We are leaning in towards the right because it doesn't feel like the corruption is living inside there as blatantly. I believe that the people that are on the right now really want to do the right thing. That all remains to be seen. Obviously, I'm not coming here to give any answers about anything, but those people at that rally that are going to be speaking on Sunday, they break it down for everybody to understand what is actually going on. And you can look at my ultra-free shirt here. It's ultra-free globalism. Just the whole, it's the fact that we're all in this cage, and it's like the Truman Show, and nobody really knows it. And they're going to be breaking it all down. And it's a lot of liberals that have left the Democratic Party because, man, I don't even know how to get into it without getting really deep into the woods. But if anybody's interested in understanding, a lot of my friends think I'm crazy now, and I'm like, no, I'm not crazy. I'm still exactly the same. I'm like, what's crazy is that all of my liberal friends are going to vote for war. They're going to vote for no medical freedom. They're going to vote for this, what's happening at the UN today.
Now, when you say no medical freedom, what do you mean?
Well, look, I know a lot of women are going to...
And you chose not to get vaccinated. I think everybody's aware of that part of your story and how it kind of separated you from the work that you had done for so long. But just as one example, when you say no medical freedom, I think a lot of people hear abortion rights when you say that.
Well, I'll touch on that because I think that's a really important thing, especially here at Fox, because we can kind of lean into some of those things. You can't do it on other networks. You guys are the only ones.
Thank you.
That get close to it. I know you guys still have to do your thing, but still, it's closer to the truth than anywhere else right now. And the abortion thing, I think I know a lot of the left-leaning women are going to vote just based on abortion and just based on LGBT. I forget them. I'm sorry. Just based on a lot of social issues. Mm-hmm. And I think that right now, if they really knew what was at stake, and I could actually cry talking about it, if they really knew what was behind that distraction, nobody would care. They would not care about these issues. I think handing it over to the states was the easiest way to take it out of one's hands, because I honestly don't think that it's one of Trump's, and I know that maybe conservatives wouldn't like to hear that either, but I also don't really think that's not his mountain to die on. I think that he'd rather just give it to the states, because honestly, that's a democracy. And at this point, we're losing sovereignty all over. This UN summit is all about giving our sovereignty away completely and putting it in the hands of a globalist agenda, which is the most dangerous thing. And they took that WHO treaty, which is about medical stuff, and any kind of an emergency, any kind of national emergency. You give that to the WHO, and those are unelected
like the pandemic.
Officials. The pandemic treaty. So they took that treaty because nobody would vote on it. A lot of Republicans voted against it, and they slipped it into this UN pact for the future. And that's a pact for no future. Everyone's focused on this 2025 thing that they think is Trump's. I'm like, why don't you guys focus on Agenda 2030? Because that's really where the problems are. And that's actually what the freedom fighters are trying to fight. And the freedom fighters right now, believe it or not, it's Trump's team. It's this people he surrounded himself with. Maybe he was surrounded by neocons before, but right now, that's not the team he's got in place. So it's a scary time that we're living in, and a lot of kids don't know the truth.
Give us, one or two specific examples so people can understand when you talk about medical freedom or you talk about what's happening at the UN right now and what you fear in terms of the control of these global organizations over people's lives and freedom, just to kind of pin it down a little bit.
Let's see. There's so many layers to this onion. I think that a lot of my super liberal friends, and brothers and sisters and everything, I think that compassion's been weaponized so much and been hidden in, I'm going to get this wrong. I'm not going to do a good job of this. This is why we need the speakers from Rescue the Republic. We need people like Brett Weinstein and Robert Kennedy and all of those, Russell Brand's voice. I mean, he talks a little fast. It's hard to get it too good, but I mean, they're incredible voices. I think that this whole idea of corporatism, of capitalism, I think a lot of liberals are always, I don't want to be, in favor of capitalism. I'm like, if you're not in favor of that, then you can't be in favor of the American dream.